It is Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 at 9:38 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. Today we're talking about Nikki Haley for president. It's well published that I believe that there should be a female president. I know on here I said that maybe we should wait so that a male president can challenge people to duels and wrestling matches. Let's face it, Biden's not going to do that. He's a coward. And so what if we had a female president that could challenge female commanders and leaders and hypothetically progressive male leaders to pistol duel? But then a male vice president that could, for the misogynistic leadership that's out there that dominates most of the world, the male leadership that wouldn't even acknowledge a woman leader in some cases, can challenge the male vice president to a duel or a wrestling match. So that's why I'm proposing that Ken Bryant, who's taken an interest without my influence at all, has taken an interest in the political system and being a politician. He was on borough council in Utica for several years, and now he's running for county commissioner. Why not? He's a Republican. Why not team up with? What if Nikki Haley tapped him for vice president of the United States? It's the best Utica can produce. The little borough of Utica can produce. Ken Bryant, clearly he's had all his clearances. He works at a state prison. I don't know his past working for Lionsgate, but I've personally vetted him up and down. I wrote to many politicians in the EU about him trapping me in my house. I have a theory about why him and my father trapped me in my house. It has to do with radio waves and how people can be influenced by radio waves, and how even the people you trust and that are close in your life could turn on you. It's kind of scary stuff. But I wrote about them trapping me in my house. So I'm sure that brought attention to Ken Bryant, and his history is past from the EU to vet him. Then, still upset about that incident, when I was in Denmark, I made several videos where I criticized Ken. I call out Ken many times. I even suggest that because he worked for Lionsgate at the time, that there was a Lionsgate satellite and also a Johnson & Johnson satellite that were pointed at Utica or flying over China, hypnotizing people, making people crazy. And it's all tied to stock ownership, preferred stock and communication ownership. So I'm sure that drew a lot of attention to Ken Bryant from the hacker community, from the anarchist community, from actual legitimate government agencies, legitimate governments. But what the purpose of this vetting process is that we expose how he could abuse any of his assets, any of his abilities to gain power. So then people check into that. So that's the same thing I've written on a secret page on my Plot-M website about a new book having to do with President Trump, or former President Trump, getting a second term, and how he could abuse his position as a hotelier and president and owner of possibly satellites and wireless technology, working with the military and the government to develop an assassination technology involving mobile waves and things like that. So if I wrote that book, which I don't think I'm going to have time to this summer, that would be me vetting Donald Trump, right? I'm going to use a fake name, President Grump or something like that. But it draws attention to all the ways Donald Trump could abuse his powers for people to check into, right? So if I published a book about this, that would be me vetting Trump for a second term in office. So if you do want Trump to be the next president, pay me to write this book. Is basically what I'm saying. Pay me to take the time to write this book. So that we can get different entities vetting him and seeing how truthful my crazy theories are about abuse of power. I want a female president. I don't think we should wait for this peace treaty to develop so that we have a male president that can challenge male dictators in other countries. I think we can do it with Ken Bryan. He's a martial artist. He has a disability in one hand. Part of his hand was taken in a tree trimming accident. So nature actually disabled his one hand. His good shooting hand is still able, and dictators and things can challenge him. He could challenge them. Military generals under that leadership can take up the pistol duels and things like that to bring peace to the United States and bring peace to the world through this peace treaty. So I vetted Ken. He's been vetted up and down. There may be an illegitimate child somewhere in South America, but I think that gives him even more credentials to be vice president. And then I could hypothetically be chairman of the FCC. Like I said, the thing about political parties, Republican, Democrats have leadership. You don't agree with every aspect of a political party. You find what closely aligns to your values or viewpoints, and you go with that party so that you have some say in the political process. And then I make the argument that the media, the corrupt and profit-driven media, has brainwashed and hypnotized in their own way, has misinformed the public so that they think their values are one way when really that doesn't represent what's best for the world and for capitalism and democracy. So I don't agree with the socially conservative viewpoints of Republicans. I'm socially progressive in many ways. I can see why Ken, as a Catholic, does align with those conservative viewpoints. But fiscally, and as far as big government and cutting back the size of government and being fiscally responsible, I do align with those things. So I can see things in both parties. Like if Biden didn't run for a second term and Kamala Harris put in her hat to run for president, I would get behind that too. And maybe Chip Abramovic could be your vice president. I don't know. I doubt some Venango County, Pennsylvania commissioners are going to be the next vice president of the United States. But I'm putting it out there because we need to do something for peace, prosperity, and these are the options that I have a close tie with. Again, I don't think I can be president of the United States with my history, background, and mental health diagnosis anytime soon, but I could be part of an administration and work to be chairman of the FCC, or at least an employee of the FCC, to bring media, because that's what I studied and that's what I have a degree in, back to fact-based media, and stop spreading the lies, which will transform the country in huge ways. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm all for Nikki Haley. She's been vetted by the UN. Apparently, I could look into her background and history and write a short story or novel to show how her abuses might come about. But here's the important thing. If Nikki Haley takes up the Periscope platform, because Biden's not going to do it. He's just as corrupt as anyone else. If she takes up the Periscope platform and says, we want this anti-corruption measure in the federal government, every politician, we're going to put the platform out there. You can choose whether you use it or not, but we think every politician should publish their previous day's schedule, including what lobbyists they met with, should have some kind of short podcast about their daily duties, what they did for the day, and should have constituents register on their account and be able to vote on the things that they're voting on the policies and the bills and laws that they're voting on, so that they can take that into advisement when they vote on things in the Congress. So if she's for that, then I'm behind Nikki Haley. Also, if she agreed to take an inter-department vote, at least, on head of the Department of State and Secretary of the Treasury, to start that process, right? Where all of her cabinet she officially appoints them, but she takes the advice of the people within the department and who they vote on for those heads. She doesn't have to deal with all of her appointments. We have the first historical female president. Let her have her appointments for her first term, but maybe if she goes for a second term, she says, if I'm elected to a second term, I will take an inter-department vote for all leadership, the head leadership position, and the government itself will become more efficient and more intelligent because people within the department voted on their leadership. And then I officially appointed them so that we didn't have to change the Constitution. I took the vote. And then this voting system, so you have the Periscope voting platform, then you have the intergovernmental voting platform where people can vote on the next leader of their department. That can also be evolved and transformed to what I proposed on here, the system where government employees review their coworkers and vote on whether they should be eliminated, if their job should be eliminated based on their performance and how much work that person has to do because the coworker isn't working. They're a bureaucrat. So this is my proposal to make the government more efficient, to actually cut people from the government, but because of unions, it's very difficult to fire someone from the government. This would transform that to where it's a direct democracy and all the co-workers vote on the weakest, least performing people in the government, and this would circumvent the union's stranglehold on having a bunch of bureaucrats in an inefficient government. So those are my ideas. Those are the two main things that I think Nikki Haley should champion. I don't think Donald Trump's going to champion those things, but if he does, and I vet him, I'm open to becoming involved in whatever administration is going to adopt some or most or all of my ideas, and because they're going to cut corruption and transform the world. And if and I said it before, if the Republicans are the party of direct democracy, shame on the Democrats. But why not? I mean, they have to do something to transform their party. They're running out of rich white guys in the United States. So, it's time for them to adapt and change, and hopefully it's for the better. Like I said, small business Republicans that just want less regulation in their industry and less taxes are some of the most intelligent people in the country, and they're hardworking, and that's who I'm behind, is small business Republicans, not the Republican politicians that take all kinds of money from corporations, not the big corporation Republicans, the small business Republicans, and we can foster that and bring that to realization. So, thanks for watching. I'm going to do one more today, a little bit later, and then I probably won't be doing this again until next week. So, thanks for watching my video journal, and that's my proposal. Ken Bryant for vice president. Let's move him up the chain as quickly as possible so that we can get this peace treaty on track and get this process, this peace process, and this conflict resolution process in the books, signed, and put it into effect to bring peace to the Ukraine and things like that. So